This is Jackie from Gagnon Crafts and Life, and this is another Flosstube short video. I'm really excited that I'm going to get to film this week. I know last one said I might not be back for a couple of weeks. My kids are doing virtual schooling all last week and all this week, and there's not really time alone. Today we have a surprising small bit of time to film this while the kids are doing school downstairs with their cousin. We had some appointments to do this morning. We've been out and about. And they want to continue downstairs, and my sister-in-law says that she will take them through lunch and through some of their afternoon classes. So I have a little bit of time. You might hear them because they're just downstairs, but hopefully that'll be okay. I also, in this video, I'm going to share a little bit of my knitting because I don't really have much cross-stitch to show. I've really been working on one piece, and I'm hoping that having the tree behind me doesn't have weird lighting. We'll see. Again, I don't know why this way of recording and uploading, it doesn't switch the lefts and the rights. So this is my right, this is my left. And so the pattern that you might see is actually backwards, but I will try to link the Etsy pattern below. It's from LoLaLottaShop on Etsy, and it's like the Cozy Stump, but it has a longer title. But I call it the Cozy Stump. And so, throwing that in. Now there are, if I can see where it is, here and here, I think. Yeah. All right, so this section right here is the middle page. Okay. This is the third page on the bottom, which was the short page. And so these three on the bottom are, 1, 2, and 3 that are finished. And here to here is the second group of pages. And I have this page finished, the middle page finished, and I'm working on this page. I think I did a rough count since I do go cross country. I have about 200 stitches left on that page. I think I had either finished or was really close to finishing this page the last time you saw it. But you'll get to see some of these flowers are coming up the tree. We're starting to get another little window door. Some of the greenery on the sides. It's not quite full coverage, as you can see, like this side is complete. I am planning on going back and doing half stitches for a background color, even though it doesn't call for it, just because of this is part of my Gagnon hook project. So I want the whole thing to be covered. But there is the tree. I forgot to bring these. So I did get like those magnet things that help hold all, don't mind my the stitching on the back, but I have like this big part of fabric because this is like a 4 foot, a little more than 4 foot because I have borders by 2 feet fabric. And so having these here helps hold it. These are actually not long enough to go over this big chunk of fabric no matter how tight I try to roll it. So what I actually have is I have 1, 2 strings, but they're connected to this one over here that pulls it out farther, and then these are connected to this pink one to keep it rolled in tighter. So that's kind of how I hooked that part up. And then the rest of these are hooked themselves over the smaller bits of fabric on the tops, bottom. I left the side open. They've also been a great new place for me to keep my scissors on as long as I keep my points away from the actual fabric. And some of my floss tags on the rings are metal, and I can kind of hang them here. For this project, let me put this back down. I am keeping my floss on different rings. This is from like one of my very first projects. So it actually gets an assortment of rings. I have some that are on floss drops, and if they are, some of them, if they are blends, I already have them split out into parts that I can just pull this piece off and thread it. It's already got the 2 colors here blended. I also tried out using some like keychains buy a bunch of them for pretty cheap on Amazon, and threading them in down here. This one's another blend, but instead it just has the 2 colors, and then I take one of each. Or I don't have one here that's not a blend. This one. Okay. And if it's not a blend, it just has the big piece of it and the other one. Otherwise, they just have one strand if they're blended. And then I'll pull from the colors. And then I also keep my symbols here. So really, I've just been looking for symbols. I don't look for numbers unless I'm looking for a blend. But in this little box, I keep, a lot of them are kind of sorted either by colors or colors that are around. A lot of these colors get stitched together on this pattern. And there is a lot of colors on this pattern. I forget how many exactly. I might have mentioned it like the first time I was looking at this, showing you guys this one. And these ones that are on the pattern. So right now this is all of my floss. And so what I'll do is I'll stare at the pattern for where I want to be stitching on. And I will pull one second. And I will look for the symbols, and I'll be like, okay, I need this, 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 and this symbol. And then I just start pulling symbols and then putting them on a ring. And then I have these ones out, and I'll go through them one at a time. And then when I'm ready for the next set, I'll put these back or put these away and grab other ones. So I don't have to have all my thread out with me, but these are the next ones that are up. And then there are some fractional stitches. So I do keep, this is what I had my scissors in and my threader. And then I also keep like this pin for the fractional stitches so I can, it's an Ada, so I can pierce the middle. And then I'd also like to show you the stand I've been working with. Take it off the stand. See if I can move you back. And I got this stand on Amazon. If I can still find a link for it where it's still being sold, I will get it. But it has these legs that go underneath my legs. And this bar also comes down. And then it's very adjustable 2 ways. One is, if I turn this way, where this rester bar is can also be pushed back further. It is also adjustable. It goes up and down. These to hold either the hoop or the Q-snap, and they can all be tightened right now. Right now I have them pretty loose. They can be put up or down, left or right, make it for the size project you're working on. And then obviously it can close up pretty small. It can also work as a tabletop instead of a lap. Right now I use it as a lap and, on my couch, and I just adjust it each time I'm sitting down because I sit different ways. I don't always sit the same way on my couch. So I just adjust it for how I'm sitting that day. And then except right now it doesn't have my body weight on it, so it's definitely a little looser in some places. Here, and I'm going to show you it this way. Okay. And so then there's my stitchy. And you can see on the bottoms here that it just, the Q-snaps sit right on the bottom. I do have these where this one is a little bit more in. If you can see that on there. And I have that because I have this big piece of fabric on my right side that comes out to the bottom a bit. And so I just moved this one over more so that it gives that part room, because it does keep falling out. And I can just adjust it that way. Sorry. So that is all I have to show you for my stitching and my kind of stitching setup. I have liked that frame. I haven't used any other frames, or I guess they're not frames, right? Frames are more the Q-snap frames or the hoops. Stand. It's the only stand I've really used. I might like to try a couple other kinds of stands, but for my price range, that one has been good. For Christmas, I should have some Happy Mail coming in. I did buy some scroll rods. I don't know if I'm going to put this project on them or another one, but those should be coming in. I'm excited to try them out. I got one that was like 3 different sizes, the rod ones, and then it has 2 different height ones that you can mix and match for them. So I'm excited to try those out when they get here. I did start one other cross stitch from Stony Creek. It's already in timeout. I'll probably got like 40 or 50 stitches in, and I don't know where I made a mistake, but there is one, and I don't know how many stitches need to come out, so I'm not showing that right now. And so if you're here for just the stitchy part, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day and great holiday season if I don't see you again until then. And now I'd like to show my knitting. I am a very beginner knitter. I have crocheted like half my life or more, but knitting I am brand new at. And my last video that I had knitting in, I think is one of the ones that had to come down, or it's one I never got to post. So I do want to show the knitting. This was my first kind of a test watch piece, watching a lot of YouTube tutorials. JR Knits, I think, is one of the people I started to really watch because I really liked his style of teaching. I don't know all the names of knitting stitches. And I don't even, it's been so long since I made this piece now, that I don't even remember how some of these were. Some of them were like knit on one side, purl on the other. Some of them were just knits, just purls. Some ribbing here. Obviously it has some issues, right? Like there's some drop stitches or some holes. If I go on this side, I think you can see some extra rows or mistake rows. But it was just a little test watch for me. While I was watching these videos and learning this one, I was also trying to learn how I like to hold my yarn. I know if you hold it like on if you tension it with like your right hand, it's, I don't remember the terms anymore. Was that English style and continental style is with your left? For me, as a right-handed crocheter, it is far easier for me to tension with my left hand. And speed knitting with tensioning in your left hand is also, at least all the videos I've seen, you tension with your left hand if you're speed knitting. And I found that to be very comfortable. So yeah, even if this does look like a great test swatch for a very beginner, never picked up these needles before knitter, I've crocheted for half my life, so a lot of the things I found more comfortable. Tensioning, my fingers already know how to do that. My next piece I made was this hat. I made it too long. I did not gauge it properly. It is supposed to get folded in, so at least that's good, but even with a folded in, it folds in quite a few times before it's more of an appropriate height. I made it mostly for my husband, but I've definitely stolen that. It does fit well, and this one was a really simple pattern, and it is very stretchy. And all it is knits. There's no purl, just knits all the way across, all the way up and down, and it's not knit in the round. So to do this one, you go from one side all the way down. I forgot how many I had to do, and then you knit basically a big rectangle, and you take one of the ends, and there's a way you can get them all to come together. And so from a rectangle it is, oh, and then you do lace the 2 sides together. And I can obviously work on, I need more experience in that. You can definitely see my join line here. This one down here. Or at least I can see it and I can feel it. So I know that it's there. Now I do have like a dropped stitch. Is that a dropped stitch? No. There is one though. Oh, maybe not on this one. Okay. Either way. And there's the other side of it where you can also really see it. But I call that like the inside. This side's a little less noticeable, so I put that as the outside. And then wrap it up. So it is really comfy, it is really stretchy, it's pretty much what I was looking for. So I'm really happy with it as a first knitting project. Second knitting project was I found this pattern, and I hope to find it again and link it below, for this headband. Headband ear warmer. I did not make it wide enough, I don't think, as like a proper ear warmer. If I take my hair up and up the top sides, we'll see. Yeah. The project did call for it to be much wider, and I just shortened it up when I was knitting it. But it was a pretty basic stitch going back and forth. I did have some issues at some point. You can see these lines are not, nope. But I just kept going because I think it was near the end. I think that was the other side of it. And then where the two ends connect, you do like this sandwich thing. So like you have both ends, like so that it's a straight line, both ends, and you sandwich them. And then when you go to connect it, you like twist them. And then you sew it together, and that's what gives you this piece right here. And again, if it was thicker, it would be more visible that it was like a twist. So I might make another one being more thicker, but I just wanted to use some of the other yarn I had left over from the hat, which I love. And lastly, for the knitting, I started making my daughter a hat in the same style as this one. So it's just a giant knit back and forth. This is going to be the height of the hat. Okay, so if I rolled it up or gave it even like 2 rolls from here, this should cover her ears up to the crown of her head. Okay, it also might be a little big, we'll see. But this part is the length of the hat, and now I'm making it go around her head. I think based on like another hat that I had for her, this is like the middle of it, and so I want to keep knitting this block until I reach the other end, and then I'm going to do some tests around her head and make sure that it's going to fit well. This one's also bigger because my husband's head is a little larger, so every time I went to go test it going around his head, like I'm like, all right, 3 more rows, 4 more rows. Like it was still a little tight, so I didn't go directly off the pattern as far as the width needing to go around his head. And the pattern calls for all different size needles, and being a crocheter, I know that your gauge or how big your stitches are based on your needles. And so any pattern, even if it calls for a size 5 or a size 6 needle with a certain weight yarn, depending on your tension, you might actually want a smaller needle or a larger needle. And then you just might add stitches or delete stitches based on anything else. So I didn't feel the need to go find the correct needle number needed, as long as I could gauge myself. That might come with years of practice and like knowing your sizes and messing with patterns. And I've done that with crochet, not so much knitting. Obviously, this is my first project, second project, and third one's on the hook, or not hooks, these are needles. These are 4.5 millimeter. I think I might have was supposed to have like a 5 millimeter. Just means I'm gonna have to do it more of it, more rows. And they are circular, even though I'm not making a circular pattern, just because it's easy for me to use these short needles instead of a long one. Since I am a crocheter, having a smaller needle hook in my hand feels more natural to me. And these also just kind of came in actually a kit I had for crocheting with the counters, the pin counters, and they just protect the tops of the needles, help things not to slip off. I have been bringing this to doctor's appointments this week and knitting some in the car. They're about an hour away from us, so got some time. I don't drive. But I did want to show a little of what I mean. So like, this is my left hand, this is my right hand. And so for me, I tension in this hand. And the first one's always kind of rough for me. But then I'm able to do kind of like a speed knitting because my fingers are already used to tensioning yarn from years and years and years of crocheting, right? And so now it was just figuring out like the 2 or 3 movements that you need to knit each one. And I know that I actually have like probably a couple extra moves in here. That's some of the other people who show you speed knitting and show you like slowed down steps for speed knitting, and they don't do a couple of these. But again, for right now, this is just what is more comfortable for me to make sure I don't lose any of the stitches. And obviously I'm holding it up to the camera, so it's a little bit different than when I'm holding it in my lap. But pretty quickly I can do, I don't know how many stitches that is. But it goes along pretty quick now, and I just want to finish this row so that I don't stop in the middle of one. I've enjoyed knitting. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pick it up after years of crocheting with 1 hook instead of 2 needles. In the same way that I didn't know if I was going to like cross stitch in the beginning of this year when I decided to try it. Because I wanted a new hobby, new project, new challenges to my skills, because I do like a lot of different crafting. And so I'm enjoying the cross stitch. I have way too many patterns on my wish list and on my that have been kitted up that I want to get to already, and it's not even been a whole year. And that's okay. And now I don't have a lot of knitting projects I want to do. It's very similar to crochet in that way. But I do want to make everyone hats, at least in my family. Maybe not my extended family, maybe not for like Christmas gifts. Like, I'm not that fast. There's no way I'm going to have that done for Christmas. But maybe eventually. I'd like to make different patterned hats or scarves. Maybe clothes. Crocheting and clothes is something that I never was able to get to fit right, feel right. But I think with the knitting and how it becomes more stretchy than crochet can become, clothes might be an option now that I've learned how to knit. Yeah. I do want to get myself like different needles, different circular needles. If I want circular patterns, maybe ones that are detachable. Because obviously to knit in this round, if I was to use these, I have to find something that requires this length of round. I didn't know that when I bought them. And so now I think if I wanted to continue that, I'd probably invest in a set that has different round lengths and that are detachable. I think that's what I would invest in. And also the yarn I just already had for other crochet projects. I have a large yarn stash. So there we go. There's that round. Or not round, row. Alright. And that is going to bring me to the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed my stitchy update. Here's a reminder of like the one I've been working on. I really want to finish off that page, and then I'm going to move on to something else. Either back to the border on this, back to Stony Creek, finishing up my black my Year of Black works out. I don't know what yet, but I will be switching projects. Thanks for spending time with me if you made it to the end of this, and I will see you next time. Bye.